Hi. Did you know that with God, we have a future worth anticipating? Sometimes the devil would like to make us feel and think that things ahead aren't too good. Well, today I'm here to bring you the good news that with God, we have a bright future ahead of us. Listen to what a man who had a really rough life said. Whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or things present or things to come, all are yours. This was the Apostle Paul writing to the church in Corinth in 1 Corinthians 3 and 22. He had every reason for which he could have said his past had been horrible and he didn't see any reason for the future to be any better. Let's look at one of the rough places in his life. In Romans 1 and 10, Paul wrote to the Corinthians in Rome that in his prayers he makes the request that if by any means now at length I might have a prosperous journey by the will of God to come unto you. So, the Apostle Paul fervently wanted to go visit the Christians in Rome to encourage them. His desire caused him to put it to God by saying, if by any means. That is like writing God a blank check. That takes a lot of faith. And God took him up on it. You might remember how that after being arrested in Jerusalem and held in Caesarea, Paul exercised his right as a Roman citizen to appeal his case directly to Emperor Caesar rather than face further trials in Judea, where his life had been threatened. So he was transported by sea under the guard of a centurion named Julius. In this case, by any means, which are the words he had written to the saints in Rome, meant being a prisoner on an Egyptian grain ship, which was beaten apart by a storm and shipwrecked. But notice what happened during the storm. This is Acts 27:13 through 20. And when the south wind blew softly, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, loosing thence, they sailed close by Crete. But not long after, there arose against it a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon. And when the ship was caught and could not bear up into the wind, we let her drive. And running under a certain island which is called Clauda, we had much work to come by the boat, which, when they had taken up, they used helps, undergirding the ship, and fearing lest they should fall into the quicksand, strake sail, and so were driven. And we, being exceedingly tossed with a tempest, the next day they lightened the ship. And the third day we cast out with our own hands the tackling of the ship. And when neither sun nor stars in many days appeared, and no small tempest lay on us, all hope that we should be saved was then taken away. Well, these sailors didn't think they had any future. Their lives weren't worth a plugged nickel at this point. But wait, listen to what it says in Acts 27:21 through 25. But after long abstinence from food, then Paul stood in the midst of them and said, Men, you should have listened to me and not have sailed from Crete and incurred this disaster and loss. And now I urge you to take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. For there stood by me this night an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve, saying, Do not be afraid, Paul. You must be brought before Caesar. And indeed, God has granted you all those who sailed with you. Therefore, take heart, men, for I believe God that it will be just as it was told me. When the storm was at its worst, when the sails were gone and the ship was breaking apart, when direction was lost, the rudder broken, and the night was the darkest, all hope was gone. And a voice rose above the howling wind, a beautiful voice speaking in Greek with an Aramaic accent saying, Cheer up, there is a future for you. because of God. And there was a future for them. All of them made it to Rome safe and sound. Now, listen again to what the Apostle Paul wrote to the church at Corinth. Whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or things present or things to come, all are yours. Paul enumerated the benefits which they had been given by God. He starts off by naming himself, Paul. Now, Paul might not have been the most impressive speaker, and you can read about that in 2 Corinthians 10:10, but he sowed the seed in Corinth. He said, God has given you the benefit of Apollos. Now, Apollos was a polished speaker, and he watered the seed Paul had sown. God had made available to them Cephas or Peter, the one who had a personal experience of being with Jesus and who was the church authority on Christ's life and teaching. These people were all put into their lives to show them the way to God and the way to live pleasing to Him. God had blessed them with these Christians. Paul also said, the whole vast world is all yours to accomplish what God leads you to do. Or, as paraphrased from how William Shakespeare once put it, the world is your oyster. Paul said, life is yours. Or as the character Christian in Pilgrim's Progress exclaimed as he fled the city of destruction, life, life, eternal life. Death. Death is yours. In another place, Paul said, for me to die is gain. Then in this verse he said, the present and the future, it's yours. One wonders if Paul didn't deliberately leave out the past. He said, the present and future is yours, but not the past. In his case, he was probably glad to leave out the past and consider it covered by the blood of Christ. Before his conversion on the road to Damascus, he proudly claimed his past life as a traditionalist of the lineage of Abraham. But Christ took away the past and gave him the present and the future. So, no matter what the outlook of our life may be, no matter if we have a period in our life which looks dark, the present and future is ours by believing in God. I hope these few thoughts have been an encouragement to you. If so, be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons so that you will be sure to see future podcasts. And until then, this is Wayne Murphy with a very cheerful goodbye.